Peter Kuznick is Professor of History at American University. He's now joining us live from Washington, D.C. Professor Kuznick, always good to have you on the show. Help us understand Trump's strategy here, because when we are talking about aliens, the terminology aliens, there are some countries which are not taking it lightly, and one of the countries is Colombia. We had Mexico, or the Mexican authorities, returning the immigrant flight back to the U.S., but nothing happened. Now, Trump has issued threats to Colombia. What's different here?
There's nothing really different, except Mexico then afterwards accepted U.S. migrants who were being returned. Gustavo Petro, the recently elected president of Colombia, who is a leftist, refused to accept the migrants who were being returned in military transports, in handcuffs, and said they should be treated with dignity. And in his posting on social media, he made some references saying that Colombia would never send people back like that, as that kind of Nazi-style behavior. So he stood up to Trump, and Trump, using the power that he has, being the bully that he has, the bully that he is, came down very, very hard against Colombia. And it was sad to see, but Petro caved in. So far, Trump is acting in a Trump-like manner, using threats, using force, using bullying, with the way the United States did for decades and decades with Latin America. The United States is going back to that gunboat diplomacy, that tough guy stance, threatening and forcing its way upon weaker countries.
Professor Kuznick, so what do you make of actions by the bully Trump, as you call him, when it comes to tariffs and sanctions against countries like Colombia, like Mexico, if they do not adhere to his order?
That's typical Trump behavior. He's wanting to show the world how strong he is, how tough he is. If you look at the way people are being rounded up in the United States, they're creating an atmosphere of fear, of panic. People are hiding. They don't know what's going to happen next. And so people are scared. Trump has already, in 1 week, made this such an ugly country again. I mean, people did not vote for this degree of ugliness, cruelty, vindictiveness, but this is what they're getting. So people have to learn that elections have consequences. When we look at the 80 million or so registered voters who did not turn out to vote in this last election, people have to be more responsible. And the thing with Trump, he said this openly, what he was going to do. The American people didn't believe it, that this degree of ugliness would happen so quickly, but it's happening. And people should have known, and they should have responded in advance rather than allow this to get to this point.
Mr. Kuznick, with all fairness, the elections are over. Everything has been done. It is what it is. The president has his orders, and he maintains that he doesn't want to go back on what he has signed as an executive order. Where does that leave America in the long run?
I think the United States is going to be increasingly isolated. The world is not going to put up with Trump's behavior. I mean, look at the situation with India. The third largest group of undocumented migrants in the U.S. is from India, approximately 700,000 from India. So how is India going to respond if Trump starts shipping back tens of thousands of Indians? Trump, instead of making this a kinder, gentler, more compassionate world, we look at his behavior and it's making it a crueler, more vindictive world. So I don't think that's going to put the United States in a very, very good position. Countries might be fearful of the United States, but they're not going to respect or like the United States. And so maybe it's going to work because Trump did run on curbing illegal immigration, as Biden finally woke up and began to do in the last year or the last months of the Biden presidency. So we don't have an emergency anymore, but Trump is declaring it an emergency so that he can use the U.S. Army and other means in order to round people up. He said that he wants each ICE office to arrest 75 people a day. Well, there are 400 ICE offices. So if they each arrest 75 people a day on average, we're talking about 30,000 people a day being rounded up and shipped out of the United States. Number one, it's going to cost.
Professor,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you short, but we are out of time right now. Thank you very much for your insights today. This is Professor Peter Kuznick. Thank you for talking to us today.
My pleasure, always.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.